5 children vanished in flames that left no bones. 29 Atlanta victims and questions of justice. A dead man with an uncrackable code. Patients who disappeared in hospital tunnels. A 600-year-old book in a language that doesn't exist. A lost prince who may have escaped his prison. America's first colony that carved one word and vanished. An asylum that hid its darkest experiments. A tower that defies the laws of geology. 3 sailors who abandoned a perfect yacht. A ghost ship with dinner still warm. And 852 ferry passengers whose deaths may have been covered up. 11 mysteries. Centuries of questions. 0 answers. What if the impossible is just waiting to be proven possible? Please subscribe to our channel, because the next mystery we uncover might finally have an answer. On Christmas Eve 1945, a fire consumed the Sauter family home in Fayetteville, West Virginia, forever changing the course of one family's life and creating one of America's most enduring mysteries. George and Jenny Sauter escaped the blaze with 4 of their 10 children, but 5 others, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, aged 5 to 14, remained trapped upstairs as flames engulfed the house. When the fire department finally arrived hours later, they found no trace of the missing children, not a single bone, not a fragment of clothing, nothing. The physical evidence defied explanation. House fires, even intense ones, leave skeletal remains. Yet investigators found only a few scattered vertebrae that were later determined to belong to an adult. The family's truck wouldn't start that night, preventing an immediate rescue attempt. The phone lines had been cut. A ladder that could have reached the second floor had mysteriously vanished from its usual location. In the months that followed, witnesses emerged with disturbing accounts. A woman claimed to have seen the children in a car with strangers that Christmas morning. A hotel guest reported serving breakfast to the missing children weeks after the fire. A private detective produced a photograph of a young man who bore a striking resemblance to Louis Sauter, taken years later in a distant city. George and Jenny Sauter spent the rest of their lives searching for their children, never accepting that they had perished in the flames. They erected a billboard along Route 16, displaying photographs of the missing 5, offering a reward that grew larger with each passing year. The billboard remained there until Jenny's death in 1989, a testament to a mother's unwavering hope and to questions that may never find their answers. Between 1979 and 1981, the city of Atlanta became gripped by fear as children began disappearing from its streets, their bodies later discovered in rivers, wooded areas, and abandoned lots across the metropolitan area. The victims were predominantly African American children and young adults, ranging in age from 7 to 28. Edward Hope Smith, 14, was found shot to death in July 1979, the first in what would become a pattern that terrorized an entire community. Alfred Evans, 13, disappeared 2 weeks later. Then came Milton Harvey, Yusuf Bell, Angel Linaire, and Jeffrey Mathis. The list grew longer with each passing month. By 1980, the FBI had joined the investigation, deploying over 100 agents to what had become the largest manhunt in Georgia's history. The task force compiled evidence linking 29 cases, noting similarities in victim demographics and disposal methods. Fiber evidence became crucial. Distinctive carpet fibers found on multiple victims pointed to a common source. The investigation reached its climax in May 1981 when police arrested Wayne Williams after he was heard on a bridge over the Chattahoochee River shortly before another body was discovered downstream. Williams was convicted for 2 adult murders, and authorities attributed 23 of the cases to him, officially closing the investigation. Yet questions persist. Some families rejected the official conclusions, pointing to inconsistencies in evidence and investigative methods. Several cases remain technically unsolved, their files containing details that don't align with the accepted narrative. Today, the case files rest in archives, but the shadows of those 2 years continue to haunt Atlanta, a reminder that even closed cases can harbor secrets waiting to be uncovered. On December 1st, 1948, a well-dressed stranger was found dead on Somerton Beach in Adelaide, Australia, his identity erased as completely as footprints in sand. The man appeared to be in his 40s, physically fit, with no signs of violence or struggle. His clothing bore no labels. Each manufacturer's tag had been meticulously removed. In his pockets, investigators found an unused railway ticket, a pack of chewing gum, cigarettes, and matches, but no wallet, no identification, nothing to reveal who he was or where he had come from. 4 months later, a more puzzling discovery emerged. Hidden in a secret pocket of his trousers was a small piece of paper bearing 2 words in Persian, Tamam Shud, meaning, is finished. The phrase had been torn from the final page of a rare collection of poems called the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. When police located the book, found in the unlocked car of a man who wished to remain anonymous, they discovered a series of letters penciled on its back cover, a cryptic code that has never been deciphered. The investigation revealed tantalizing threads that led nowhere. A woman named Jessica Thompson, who lived near the beach, recognized the man's photograph but denied knowing him, though witnesses noted her visible distress. Phone numbers written in the book connected to people who claim no knowledge of the deceased man. Decades of forensic analysis, including recent DNA testing, have failed to unlock the mystery. The Somerton man remains in his Adelaide grave, his headstone bearing only a question mark, a fitting symbol for an identity that continues to elude every attempt at discovery. Deep in the Minnesota countryside stands a Gothic fortress that once held more secrets than patients, the abandoned Fergus Falls State Hospital, where the line between healing and haunting has blurred for over a century. When the massive Kirkbride designed institution opened its doors on July 29, 1890, it represented the pinnacle of progressive mental health care. Within days of opening, over 100 patients had been transferred from overcrowded facilities, and by 1917, the population had swelled to 700, making it the largest mental hospital in Minnesota. The imposing structure stretched 1/3 of a mile, its 700,000 square feet designed to provide maximum light and ventilation for those society had cast aside. Patients who died at the hospital with no family to claim them were buried in unmarked graves in what became known as the hospital cemetery. But it was the network of underground tunnels connecting the buildings that would spawn the most enduring mysteries. These subterranean passages, along with administrative buildings and gazebos, were demolished in recent years, erasing physical evidence of what some claim were the hospital's darkest secrets. For decades, staff and visitors reported unexplained phenomena throughout the facility. Footsteps echoed through empty corridors, doors opened without cause, and shadows moved through rooms where no living person stood. Former employees spoke in hushed tones of late night encounters they couldn't explain, experiences that followed them long after their shifts ended. The hospital closed over a decade ago, leaving behind an empty shell that has defied every attempt at redevelopment. Now, as tour guides lead visitors through the Gothic edifice, the building's imposing presence continues to dominate both the skyline and the imagination. Perhaps some places are meant to keep their secrets, their silent corridors holding memories that refuse to fade into history